podcast. I'm Darian.
And I'm Mike.
And
today we're going to pick games.
Yep, we're going to do week 2 games and just talk about them a little bit. So, let's see. I've got the schedule here. We'll start with tonight's Thursday night matchup, the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a interesting game to me because I wasn't sure what both teams were going to be this year. I feel like they might both have a chance to beat Pittsburgh for the division if things kind of go the right way. And they both won their week 1 games. Baltimore destroyed Buffalo, and then Cincinnati actually, they were down, I think, 10 in the third quarter to the Colts, I'm pretty sure, but then they actually came back and beat them too. So, 2 good wins, honestly. This is going to be a fun one, I think. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, both these teams to me are kind of like a wild card situation. I never really know what to expect from them.
Yeah, that's been their history of these teams for like 5 years.
Yeah, they're always just good enough or just not quite good enough, never depending on which week it is. So I think it would be a really tough game to pick, just based on everything. I mean, Kenneth Dixon got kind of dinged and he's out for a while, and
right.
Baltimore's got a lot of things going on injury wise, and then like we were saying, both those teams either one of those teams could win by 20,
right,
or lose by 20.
Yeah, I agree. I think,
and you never know which.
Yeah, never. These teams are both so schizophrenic. It's crazy. I think I'm just gonna take. For me, I think I'm going to take Cincinnati because they're at home. If it was Baltimore, I would take Baltimore at home. It's probably going to be like 21-20 or 23-20, something like that. So I don't expect a bunch of points. I certainly don't expect Baltimore to put up another 47 or whatever they had points against Buffalo. I don't expect that kind of outburst again because I think Cincinnati is much better than Buffalo. So, but yeah, I'm taking the Bengals there.
I'm taking the Ravens.
It's not a bad pick, man. They have a good defense still, and if Joe Flacco is like good this year, like we think he might be, I mean, it's a small sample size, but I mean, he said he's feeling healthy for the first time in like 2 years because he's been hurt the last 2 to 3 seasons,
Mm-hmm.
So especially with the back injury and stuff, because that stuff can linger. So if he's healthy, he is good. I mean, people don't like him, but I think Joe Flacco's a good quarterback. So, all right, the first game that I've got here for the NFL schedule for Sunday, September 16th at 1 o'clock is Panthers at Falcons. So, you want to talk a little bit about that game?
Yeah, here's another set of teams where I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah,
Atlanta
especially.
Yeah, so if it was me, just looking at it and on the surface of what I saw happen over the weekend, I wouldn't have any idea who to pick with this game.
It's going to be interesting, man, because Atlanta is Atlanta, and I mean that not in the best way because they were struggling against a Philadelphia team with just Nick Foles, which I know they won the Super Bowl, but we saw Nick Foles in the preseason as like the clock basically struck midnight, you know what I mean? He did not look good at all. And Atlanta still got, under Steve Sarkisian for their offensive coordinator, they've still got those red zone issues. There was a crazy stat that I wanted to tell you about that I don't have it right in front of me anymore, but it's per ESPN Stats and Info. I want to say from week 1 all the way back to the last 2 seasons, Matt Ryan targeting Julio Jones in the red zone is 1 for 20 and an interception.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact stat either, but I remember seeing that too. Basically,
that's what it is. It's.
Oh, did you find it?
Yeah, he's 1 for 20 in the red zone, and also he's thrown the pick while targeting Julio Jones in the last 2 seasons, including the playoffs. So
yeah, that's crazy.
It's not good at all. It's very, very bad. So I don't know. Atlanta's got some things to figure out. Carolina just lost their right tackle for possibly the year with a knee injury. Darrell Williams, he's out. So, and Atlanta's got their own issues because they lost Keanu Neal to a knee injury. I think it was an ACL tear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that Thursday night game, season opener against Philadelphia. Um, and it looked pretty bad. And then it came out. I want to say it came out Tuesday, which was yesterday or a couple days ago. I think Adam Schefter reported that Deion Jones is also out for the year too with a foot injury, which is huge for them because he's like one of their most important guys up front. So they have 2-star defensive players, which I think is a young, really talented defense, and they're just out for the year. So I think that defense could suffer from that.
Yeah, and Devontae Freeman's got his knee banged up too.
Exactly, Devontae Freeman's not. He's a little unhealthy, so I don't know. I think I'm gonna roll with Carolina here because they didn't look great against Dallas, but they pretty much controlled Dallas the entire game, and they had a lot of opportunities for improvement, and it's just gonna be interesting because I mean Greg Olson's out for a while with that foot injury too. He re-aggravated that foot, so he's gonna be out too. So that's one of Cam's top targets. And Christian McCaffrey, he looked okay week 1, but I expected a bigger start to the season for him that wasn't there. But now they're gonna have to lean on him and Devin Funchess, who neither of those guys played well week 1. I would say I saw a lot of that game on Red Zone actually, and the Panthers and the Cowboys, and actually I think it was the game of the week because it was the Cowboys, so I'm pretty sure it was on Fox. Yeah, their offense did not get off to a hot start at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going around this week. There's a lot of crazy people throwing a lot of interceptions that nobody would have predicted they would have been throwing a lot of interceptions. So week 1 for me, I always kind of take with a little bit of a grain of salt, especially this year with all the preseason games and nobody really playing in them.
Right, because now it's basically preseason for some of these teams now. Because
none of the Rams starters took any snaps. There's a lot of teams that only played less than double-digit snaps with their starters, just
right.
Waiting for the season to start. So, but I think I'm gonna have to agree. I think I'll have to take Carolina with this one. Atlanta with the defensive injuries and just their general state of their whole team at this point has got a lot up in the air, and
yeah,
I just think Carolina can pull it out.
I do too. I think there's more stability in their offense, even though they just lost Greg Olson for a while. I think if they really, really tried, and I think that they can kickstart Funchess and McCaffrey to where, because Funchess is he's a big threat. Like the guy is really good. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like they didn't really target him in the first half of last week. He didn't really even. I don't think Funchess had a catch until the third quarter of last week, which was weird. So I don't know what to expect from Carolina's offense, honestly. But I trust Cam Newton more than I trust Matt Ryan. That's what it really comes down to. So, are you keeping track of these picks, by the way, again?
I am.
Sweet. Okay, just wanted to make sure about that. So, all right, so we can move on to Indianapolis, the Colts at the Washington Redskins. This is going to be, I think, this might be one of the 1 o'clock games I'm most interested in as I look at the schedule. And the reason why, I know this sounds weird because they're not like two flashy teams, but I think the Washington Redskins are going to be good this year with Alex Smith. I've said it before, even on this podcast. You and I have talked about it in the past, whenever we started doing this podcast. I love Alex Smith. I think he's so underrated, and I watched them last week with the Cardinals, and they just dominated them. They moved the ball pretty much with ease for most of the first 3 quarters, and then at the end of the game, they were really just trying to kill clock and just honestly just chill and try to get out of there without getting anyone hurt. But they looked like a good offense. I mean, they got Doxson, they got Jordan Reed, who looked good. Chris Thompson had a good game. I think he had a touchdown. Jordan Reed had a touchdown. I just trust Alex Smith so much to be able to run an offense, and they have a pretty decent defense too, who can force some turnovers. The other side of the ball is Andrew Luck and the Colts, and we'll see what we get out of them. I mean, did you see the ending of the Colts-Bengals game by any chance?
I didn't.
Okay.
I did not.
So Andrew Luck had I want to say it was a little over 2 minutes, and they were down 5 or 6 points, something like that. They just needed a touchdown to take the lead and to go ahead. And Andrew Luck was marching them, dude. They got past the 50, and it was oh yeah, he looks pretty much unstoppable right now. He was hitting guys on cross patterns. He was looking really good. I was watching it on Red Zone, and I don't know how long the pass was. It was probably 20, 25 yards. He drilled Jack Doyle, one of their tight ends, and Jack Doyle caught it and ran like probably like 2 or 3 steps and fumbled it. And the safety.
You know what? I did see that.
Feta,
I saw that play.
yeah, Feta Lemage or something like that. It's the dude's.
Yeah, I remember they were showing the replay on Red Zone. And
yeah, the safety for the Bengals.
I was stuttering about his name.
Yeah, he ran it all the way back for a touchdown, and it was over. It was a killer because Andrew Luck. You know when you're watching certain guys in certain drives in certain situations, and you're like, yeah, this team's gonna score. Like they just have it right now. There's just no way that they don't score. It was that, and then it just all of the momentum just lost as soon as Jack Doyle coughed it up, and it was just over because they returned it for 6, and obviously there wasn't enough time to get that much set back. So I just feel bad for Andrew Luck, but I think if they can tighten up a few mistakes, I don't know. This is a tough one for me. I want to hear you pick who you got first.
I'm going with the Redskins.
Just because they're at home, or you trust Alex Smith more than Luck, or why?
Yeah, because they're at home. They got AD. They have a running game. The dude's old, still put up over 100 all-purpose yards.
Yeah, he looked.
And
by the way,
I trust Alex Smith a whole lot more than I trust Andrew Luck.
That's fair. By the way, I didn't mention that, but I'm glad you brought it up. Adrian Peterson looked really good. I think he had 96 yards on like 20 something carries, and then he had a touchdown. That was just 96 rushing yards because I know he caught, like you said, all-purpose yards. He had over 100. He looked really good. Like he looked like he hasn't really missed a beat. So he looked like he did the first few weeks when he was in Arizona. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna take the Colts. I just don't think they're gonna start 0-2, honestly. And I feel like both these teams are teams that are gonna win like 9-10 games. So I don't think. I think, and they're going to be like kind of up and down throughout the year. I think they're both going to be a little bipolar. So I think I'm going to take the Colts. I think Andrew Luck will find a way to pull out a close one there.
Well, we shall see on that one. That's going to be so far all of them have been kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So what's the next one you got on your list?
Houston Texans at Tennessee Titans. You want to talk about that one a little bit?
No. So here's another team, another set of teams, and another game where I don't have any idea who these teams are anymore.
Well, it's not even so. Hold on, before you continue, the hardest part about it is because I know what you mean, because when you say that, you mean because we've only seen them for 1 week, but it's even more difficult because I feel like we'll get to them in a little while when they play the Jets, but it goes for the Dolphins and the Titans. We really didn't get to see them because the whole game was so discombobulated last week because it lasted 8 hours. So yeah. So we really didn't get to see the Titans or the Dolphins like what they actually are, or like what their identity is, if they even got one yet at all. Especially those two teams, because their whole game was discombobulated. You know what I mean? And we don't know what's going on. I don't know. Have you seen anything about Marcus Mariota yet? If he's going to be playing or not?
I have not seen or heard anything about that as of right now.
It's an elbow. His status right now is day to day. So
right.
If I had to guess, he'll probably be all right. So
yeah. So that's the thing is I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't trust either one of the teams if they're healthy.
No, I don't. Especially after what I saw out of Deshaun Watson last week in New England. I'm not sure what to make of him, and their offensive line is worse than it was going into last week because they lost Centrell Henderson, their right tackle, for the year. Yep. He broke his ankle. So,
yep.
So they're already extremely thin offensive line. Houston's is even worse. So I'm gonna take Tennessee because I just think that they're healthier, even though they're not healthy. They're healthier where it counts, and they're at home and. They played pretty well against Miami. They didn't win, but they looked okay. I just think that's a tough game to judge either of those two teams on last week because, they were sitting in the locker room for 3 hours. You know what I mean? In like the third quarter, in the middle of the third quarter. So, how do you judge that when all the momentum and everything is screwed up for the whole thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, who are you taking for that one?
Yeah, I'm taking the Titans because I'm thinking weather might become an issue a little bit, and
Yeah, I can see that.
I just think the Titans will eke one out in a baseball type score of like 12-9 or something.
No, yeah, I could see that too, like 13-12 or 14-13, something weird. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an ugly game for sure. So it makes sense why you said no when you did when I asked if you wanted to talk about it. I definitely don't want to watch it. So, let's see.
So next we've got the Eagles and the Buccaneers.
Yeah. So this is interesting.
Battle of the backups.
Yeah. So Nick Foles versus Ryan Fitzpatrick, or as people are calling him, Fitzmagic. I don't know. I'm gonna make this short and sweet because I don't. To me, this game is ugly for a lot of different reasons, and I don't want to watch it. I don't even. I hope it's 3-6 is the final, so that I don't even have to see it on a red zone. I just don't care. I don't want to see it. I hate both these teams, and I hate Nick Foles and Fitzpatrick. I don't hate them, but I just am. It's not interesting to me to watch either of them whatsoever, and I think at 48 points for Tampa Bay last week against New Orleans was an aberration. There were a couple touchdown returns for like defensive touchdowns. I think that maybe it's just one, but there was a defensive touchdown. They had a bunch of turnovers. Like I just think 48 points is an aberration. I don't expect them to be some high flying offense with this year at all, whether it's under Winston or Fitzpatrick. And the Eagles, I can't bring myself to enjoy. Like it's not enjoyable to me to watch a Nick Foles led offense. I mean, it's just not. And he was not good Thursday night, but they managed to pull it out, and they actually had another like a Philly special part 2. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Pretty ballsy for them to do another one. 8 months later, or whatever you want to call it. I'm taking Philadelphia because they have the better defense by far, I think. And even though it's a road game, I just expect them to be the better team because I think. I mean, if you can win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, then 7, 8, 9 months, whatever it is, removed from that, you should be able to beat Tampa Bay, even if they are scoring 48 points the week before. I don't think that was. I think that was an aberration, and I think New Orleans' defense might be as bad as it was last year, so or even a couple years ago. So, yeah, I'm taking Philly.
I'm taking Fitzmagic.
Oh, really? Are you really?
Yep.
Wow.
They're going to be playing at home. Crowd's going to be loud. Nick Foles is about as reliable as a 64 Pinto. That's a car for those non-car people.
I don't know. That's interesting to me.
Make it happen.
What do you have as a score? Give me your score for that. I'm curious.
34-21.
Oh, so beat him by a couple touchdowns.
Yep.
Wow, that's interesting to me.
Call me crazy.
I don't think that's crazy. I just think it's interesting. I'm just taking what I think is the better roster. Honestly, that's the only reason why. I think Philly has a better defense. That's the only reason I take them. So, because I don't like either offense. I don't know. Is Alshon Jeffrey going to be back this week?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but
that would not sway my decision, though.
No, I know. I'm just it says he's week to week still, so. We'll see, but I think they're the better roster personally. So I'm taking Philly. What do we have next? We've got Chiefs Steelers. Yep. Chiefs Steelers. So this is going to be an interesting game. I want to point out something that had to do with last week that annoyed me, and it was I've already seen people say, like I've seen articles being written on like I think The Ringer and NFL.com. Like I've just seen like a lot of overreaction to the Patrick Mahomes week 1. I've seen some pretty crazy stuff. Like I saw someone say, I don't remember who it was, but I think it was on The Ringer. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember the writer who wrote it, but someone said that Patrick Mahomes to Tyreek Hill is the new Montana to Rice.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's insane. So I saw that and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? That is freaking nuts. So there's some more overreaction here. But that being said, I got Kansas City over Pittsburgh.
I'm taking Pittsburgh.
I
I
Go ahead.
I think they'll be able to do a much better job of scheming than the Chargers did for Hill, and he won't be quite as big a factor. And I think playing in Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh will pull that one out.
It's not crazy, and James. I mean, and we saw last week, by the way, with Le'Veon Bell still not here. They didn't miss him at all. James Conner was awesome. So he had a couple touchdowns. He had like over 130 yards from scrimmage. Like James Conner was awesome. So they didn't really miss a beat at running back. But I don't know. Something frightens me when you have the struggles that you have in Cleveland. And I know that the weather was a little bit of a factor. But, I mean, they're used to playing in that weather. It's Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? It's not like it's better in Pittsburgh. So, it's something is a little alarming to me when you have that type of problem that early on, and then they ended up tying. I don't know, man. It just makes me weary of that team. I think this might be the year. So, you know how we talk about quarterbacks at a certain age? It just depends where, but they just fall off a cliff.
Uh-huh. I don't think that's going to happen.
Look, I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying that I would not be surprised if this is the year where Roethlisberger. Because here's the thing, I think we're a little too sucked into the whole Brady's 41, Drew Brees is 40 or 39 or whatever he is, like all this stuff. We think that everyone can do that now, and I don't think that's the case. And I think Roethlisberger is one of those guys where it's probably going to come quicker than we think it is. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's going to be this year, but I'm really weary of the Steelers because, and we've seen them too. Because he's had his injury history, and we've seen him even as recent as last year and the year before. If he gets hurt, they're done. They don't have a good backup. I'm trying to think, who is their backup right now? Do you know? It's Mason Rudolph.
The Steelers is
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll have a third round rookie quarterback as their backup if he goes down. So I just don't have a lot of faith in that. And I don't know. Something just scares me about having to struggle to tie with Cleveland in Cleveland week 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing about that game that really.
And I'm also, sorry to interrupt, I'm also not sure that they have the weapons on defense to stop anyone that the Chiefs have on offense. I don't know if they can stop Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce or Kareem Hunt. Because I'm not sure they can on defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, this when the Cleveland game was kind of a strange game anyways, because, I don't know what the refs were watching, but the punt hit the Browns player right in the helmet, and it should have been Steelers ball at like the 16-yard line or whatever it was.
I saw that. That was a bad call. They definitely missed that
one. So if they get that call right,
right,
and Pittsburgh does anything, field goal, touchdown, anything at all from the 16, then it doesn't matter what the Browns did because Steelers win.
Right.
So that whole whatever. Referees can do weird things to you, but no, I don't know. I think that they've got enough guys on defense that they can slow some of those guys down. They've got some fast guys. They've got some good guys that are really good at coverage stuff. I'm trying to express how. So they got Artie Burns. They got Joe Hayden, who is a little dinged up. So we'll see what happens with him.
Right.
But they got T.J. Watt. Got 4 sacks this week.
Yeah, T.J. Watt had a great week 1. He was all over the field, man. He looked awesome.
Yeah, they got Stephen Tuitt. They got Cam Hayward. They got Bud Dupree. They got Vince Williams. They got a lot of guys that I think can step up and take care of slowing down the offense a little bit for the Chiefs. I don't know. I had to pick the Steelers with that one.
That's fine.
Plus they're playing in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that helps. It is Pittsburgh's not a super easy place to win. So
nope.
And they're good at home too. So but I'm taking KC.
Dolphins and Jets.
This one. So really, all I have to say about this is basically what we said about Houston versus Tennessee. I don't know who the Dolphins are. They looked pretty good against Tennessee in their opener at home last week, but I don't know really what their team identity is or how they're gonna. I don't know what to expect from them because the game lasted 8 hours, so it was just a weird momentum thing that they were just kind of waiting to just get over with at a certain point. It felt like they just wanted to be done because kickoff was at 1. They'd probably been there since like 10 a.m. and they didn't. The game didn't end till like a little after 8 o'clock Eastern time. So I'm gonna take the Jets because they're at home. Aside from his very first career pass, which was a pick six, because it was. Did you see the play? By the way, did you see it?
Yeah.
So never throw across your body across backwards. Don't ever do that. Like just never do it.
And he knows better. And the thing was is he didn't go, oh look, I'm an idiot. He just kind of went, well, let's not do that again.
No, and that's fine. It's rookie things happen. Whatever. What can you do? But aside from that, he looked really good. Sam Darnold looked very good, and the defense was better than it was last year. And I'm telling you, I think watch out for the Jets for a wild card. I really do. Like 9-10 wins, because it's not gonna. I think you can get in the AFC wild card this year with like 9 wins. I really do, and I think the Jets might be one of those teams because if their defense plays as well as they played Monday night against Detroit, I think they picked off Stafford 4 times. Is that right?
Yeah, 37, something like that.
Yeah, it was 100 interceptions. Something. It was crazy. Jamal Adams, like they have some guys back there that are like really, really good in the secondary. So it's a divisional game. It's important. It's could come into a wild card tiebreaker stuff later on for both those teams if they're both sitting at like 8 wins in week 15 or 16. I just think the Jets at home would win. And if it was in Miami, I might take Miami, but I'm taking New York. So what do you got?
Yeah, for all the same reasons. I mean, I don't want to go through and repeat all the same exact stuff you said, but I'm taking the Jets with that one too. It seems like a pretty easy selection to me, although like you were saying, it's hard to tell. But
right, because we don't know what to expect from Miami. I mean, they looked good, but at the same time, it was a weird game, So
right, yeah. So the Chargers at the Bills. Do you want to talk about this one? Because I sure don't. I got Chargers by 40.
Yeah, it's gonna. Where was the game last week? Was it in Buffalo or was it in Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Okay. So this one they'll only lose. Buffalo was probably only going to lose by like 30 this time. But yeah, it's instead of like 40. But no, this is going to be a bloodbath. I think the Chargers are pretty good, even though they had the thing with the Chargers last week was they just kept shooting themselves in the foot early on, and then when they finally started to get their crap together, it's just too late, And that's kind of the story of them. A lot of the time when they are healthy, is they just kind of tend to shoot themselves in the foot, and then they get their stuff together, and then it's like, man, it's middle of fourth quarter, bro. You're down 15. It's not gonna happen, something like that. So, no, I think the Chargers are gonna smoke these guys, and even though it's in Buffalo, it's it's only gonna be September, and so it's not gonna be freezing cold or anything. We should say, oh, by the way, that I'm trying to think of the Bills head coach name. Sean McDermott, right?
Yep.
Yeah, came out today and said that Nathan Peterman will not start. Josh Allen will start week 1. So they might be better, but I still don't expect them to be that different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be that much better.
Right. So we don't know. And it's entirely possible Josh Allen is worse in his first start. Not overall as a player, but like it's possible he's worse than Peterman in his first start. You know what I mean? So we might even see both those guys in this game, like we did last week. Who knows? So I have a feeling they're going to go back and forth between those guys a couple times this year. Just because I think they're going to get, pardon my language, I think they're going to get their ass beat a lot. Buffalo. Yeah. So I really do. So Chargers by like 20 or something. It's going to be crazy. So that's easy for me.
Yep.
This is also one of the most interesting games, 1 o'clock Fox, and this will probably be the game of the week, hopefully. I can't imagine it wouldn't be. It's Aaron Rodgers. The Minnesota Vikings at Green Bay Packers. What do you think?
Well, to me, a lot of this is going to hinge on what's going on with Rodgers.
Right.
If he's okay, like, I don't mean hobbling around, but
you mean like mobile?
It doesn't even really have to be mobile. If he can plant, so during the game Sunday night, he was not able to plant or anything. He was kind of doing everything off of, you know, off his heels and stepping back and hopping around and doing all kind of stuff. And yes, I know it was a great comeback and woohoo, it was fancy and all that stuff. But that's not going to cut it for a whole entire game against a defense like the Vikings. And everybody's like, oh, what about? Well, never mind. Let's not get into that conversation. If he's able to, and I don't mean be the Aaron Rodgers of normal kind of moving around. I just mean enough that he can get out of his own way. I think the Packers can pull that one off. If he's not, then they could have it could be a long night.
Yeah,
they've got some guys that got kind of injured a little bit. Devontae Adams has some sort of undisclosed injury going on.
I don't think he's going to play. By the way, I think he's out for the week, which is going to hurt them too.
Yeah, I think they can pull it off. I think they can pull it off if Rodgers is 75% or better.
So that all sounds good, well, and fine, and they'll be in Green Bay, so that definitely helps. But Minnesota's going to win, and the reason why is because their I mean, Kirk Cousins looked pretty much. He was pretty on against San Francisco. I mean, I know it was just San Francisco who's not, the most talented defense, but he looked good against them week 1, and he's already got a connection with Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. It's only going to grow stronger and stronger, and Dalvin Cook looked pretty good coming back from that ACL tear last year. And, man, that defense is serious in Minnesota. Man, is it crazy to say that I think Harrison Smith might be the best, secondary player in football? Because I think he is.
Yeah, I think that's maybe stretching it a little bit.
Who do you have?
But hey, you know what?
No, who would you put for who's definitively a better person in the secondary than I'm talking safety and corner if you want whatever than Harrison Smith?
Jalen Ramsey.
Okay, that's fair. You're right. Okay, well let me say this then. He's the best safety I think in the league because it's a little bit different qualifiers for corner versus safety. So I get that. I shouldn't have just said secondary. I should have just said safety. I think he's the best safety right now in football. And that I don't because I do think Jalen Ramsey might be the best corner. But man, Harrison Smith can do it all, man. He's picking guys off. I think he got Jimmy Garoppolo once or twice on Sunday. He sacked him a couple times too off the edge on blitzing. Dude can do it all, man. And if they don't have Devontae Adams, if he's not healthy, then that's just another weapon they're down. And Rodgers and Jimmy Graham didn't seem like they were totally on the same page. I don't know if that was just I don't know what it is. If it was a scheme thing or if they just didn't call out plays for him or what. Because a couple times they threw to him, it didn't look like they had a connection yet. And I expect that to grow over time, which is going to be fine. I just don't think it'll be against a defense like this. So, and like we were talking about, I think Rodgers, because, coaches will try to, downplay injuries and, say, well, he might not play or he might play. I expect Rodgers to play, but I think he's going to be not mobile enough that it's not, you know what I mean? What you were saying, I think he's going to not be able to really move outside the pocket enough. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. I mean, it's, I'll have to wait and see if he's not mobile moving around, then I definitely think the Vikings will win. But I'm still taking the Packers. Right. I'm doing it.
Should say, by the way, that Trey Waynes is sidelined with a knee injury. So that happened on Sunday. So that's something to watch. Might weaken their defense a little bit. But even then, I think they're still so deep that I just don't think it matters. But we'll see. But I got Minnesota and you got Green Bay, right?
Yep.
Okay. So. I think we're disagreeing much more on the picks this week than we were last week, which is cool because I think it took us 10 games before we got a disagreement last week. So
yeah, it seemed like it. There was quite a few.
Yeah. So what do you have next on the schedule?
Oh, Browns at the Saints.
So we've got a team that's 0-1, which is always weird to see. And a team that's 0-1, who is at home again, week 2, who just gave up 48 points to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I don't know what to expect from either of these teams. I think I know what to expect from Cleveland, which is below average quality play, which is pretty much what it was on Sunday. And
Yeah.
I'm not even taking a shot at them. I mean, look, I, okay, I want to say one thing, and I don't want to get into a big argument with you about it because I think that you're gonna resist what I say. But I just want to say, if Cleveland had at any point in the fourth quarter or overtime put in Baker Mayfield, I think they win that game because Tyrod Taylor is really good at what he does, but I'm not sure what he does is good enough to win enough games for anything to matter. Because, like, when he was in Buffalo, when they made the playoffs last year, they made it because someone had to, because, uh, who was it? The Bengals had to beat the Ravens just so that Buffalo could get in. And so, and once they got there, they couldn't do anything on offense. And granted, they played the Jaguars, which is, the defense last year was serious. I mean, it still is. They were a problem. But, I mean, Tyrod Taylor was 15 for 40 on Sunday. And he did throw one or two, I think one interception. And I'm pretty sure, and I think he threw one or two touchdowns. I think he threw two touchdowns and ran for another. But so I mean, because he's dynamic, but I'm not sure he's good enough. I mean, 15 for 40, like if you put Baker Mayfield in there, they might have a win right now.
Maybe.
I just think that a slightly better quarterback could have pushed him over the edge last week. I really do. And I'm afraid that Hugh Jackson and them are going to hold on to Tyrod way too long as a starter, and they're going to end up regretting it because I think at some point it's clear that Baker Mayfield is the future there. And I don't, I, I don't know. I guess I'm just programmed over the last few years of all these guys who are rookies for the most part just coming in and starting right away to just accept that that's the new norm, and some guys don't accept that. Like Rodgers, I mean, Rodgers didn't start for a few years, so and that worked out for him, and that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing behind like, hey, you don't have to always start right away. But then there's other guys who do, and they're good, like Russell Wilson. I mean, the Seahawks paid Matt Flynn a crap load of money. Russell Wilson came in, beat him out fair and square, and he won a Super Bowl already. Like, so it's so hard to gauge it, but I just think if we get... Sorry, I rambled about this, but my whole point is if we get a full 60 minutes of Tyrod Taylor again this week, I mean, are we going to get another tie? Like, I just don't know if he's good enough to beat. But then again, they are going against a team that just gave up 48 points to an offense that has just as many weapons as the Tampa Bay offense does. So maybe Cleveland does win. I don't know. I'm taking New Orleans at home is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, just so you know, that 15 of 40 wasn't a whole lot worse than Jimmy G's 15 of 33 or Matt Ryan's 20 out of 43.
No.
So I mean, the whole weekend has been a weird weekend, and if you ask me, if I think Tyrod Taylor's got a chance to win some games, I would definitely say, yeah, he's definitely got a chance to win some games.
And look, I'm not trying to. Excuse me, sorry. I'm not trying to argue that he's not good or that he can't win games for Cleveland. It just bothered me when I saw that game, and I felt like if you put Baker Mayfield in that game, he would have won that game for them, or at least done more than they could have done than Tyrod did to help them win. So that's my only gripe with him, and I'm just not sure what Cleveland is right now. I also still don't like Hugh Jackson as the coach there. I think that's got to get resolved, and I think it will this year because I don't think they're going to win with him. I just don't think he's a good head coach. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm afraid to pick New Orleans, but it is Cleveland's, and they're in New Orleans, so I'm going to take New Orleans.
Yeah, I know they're in New Orleans, and they were in New Orleans last week too when they got Fitzmagic.
Exactly, and that's why I'm scared to take them.
Yeah, I think the Browns are going to end up 1-0-1.
Oh, you're picking Cleveland, huh?
I'm going to pick Cleveland.
So,
Just because I have faith in Mr. Taylor.
so
But,
do you think
huh,
do you think the New Orleans defense is that bad then, or what?
um, I, I don't know what they are. But they gave up a ton of points to a group of individuals whom I don't feel are as talented that they should have scored
No,
48 points. So
I agree. I mean, we've seen Mike Evans do some stuff, but that's the only guy on that offense that scares me. And I mean, we'll count it as 41 points because I'm pretty sure they had just one defensive touchdown. So we'll say that the offense put up 41, but I still don't see it like when I tell you I thought Tampa Bay was going to go 0-3 with Fitzpatrick, I'm not lying. Like I thought they were going to go 0-3 because I just don't think I had them as the worst roster in the football, maybe tied with Buffalo as worst roster in football before the season started. Like there's nothing on Tampa Bay that I like. So for them to do what they did to New Orleans, it's alarming, So now I'm afraid to pick New Orleans for anything. I really am.
okay, well let's get past that game because I don't think anybody really knows what's going to happen with that. That's craziness.
No.
So now we got Matt. Let me throw an interception. Stafford against Jimmy. Hold my beer. Garoppolo.
So we've got two. This is the
battle of the turnovers.
This is the new generation Patriot game. This is Matt Patricia versus Jimmy Garoppolo from the Belichick regime side of things. I don't know. This game to me, I want to know what do you think of this game? I'm really interested in what you think because you watched Detroit, New York Monday Night Football, right? You saw that one.
Yes.
And you saw a little bit here and there when it was San Francisco, Minnesota when it was on Red Zone, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to hear what you think of this. It's in San Francisco, which is interesting to me too.
Long story short, I think if LeGarrette Blount is still hurt and Ziggy doesn't come back, I think, and they're both as of now uncertain.
Right.
So we don't know if they're going to play or not. They're not even day to day. So, I would probably, because they're also playing in San Francisco, I probably would go with San Francisco, I think.
Ringing endorsement. You heard it here first.
Yeah. I mean, it's
well, here's the thing. Don't know. Here's the thing. Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think I said this last week on the pod. I'm not sure if I did, but if I didn't, here's a stat for you. Through all of his starts as a 49er going back to last year, I think he started 5 last year, and in his his 6th start was week 1 of this year. He's got, and this is from this is per I don't have the guy's username, but it was someone on Reddit NFL actually posted this stat because Reddit is awesome, and they're very resourceful.
They have great memes.
Yeah, I love Reddit. Reddit is the best thing ever. I'm addicted to it. Sorry, you distracted me with the meme thing. Jimmy Garoppolo, through his 6 starts as a 49er so far, over last year and this year, he's thrown as many interceptions as he has touchdowns, which is 8. So that's a little alarming to me. He didn't really he threw a couple in New England when he was playing the year that Tom Brady was suspended before he got hurt with the knee, with the shoulder injury against Miami in like week 3, I think, and Jacoby Brissett had to play week 4, but he threw like 1 or 2 picks though over the course of like the first 3 games, but he didn't look like a guy that was like extremely turnover prone. So this game scares me because what we could end up watching is a final stat line of like 7 total interceptions between 2 guys, and I'm not even kidding. Like I think that Stafford could throw 3 and Garoppolo could throw 4, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like. This game could be really, really, like, turnover prone, because I think both teams are a little turnover prone. I don't know who to pick. I think San Francisco has a shot, but we don't really know what... I feel like we didn't really get to see what a Matt Patricia-led Detroit Lions team would be, because Matt Stafford kind of gave the game away before it really ever got going, even though they had a 7-point lead. You know what I mean?
I just know that, Stafford... Stafford's quarterback rating was 47.9.
It was bad.
Garoppolo's is 45.1.
Yeah.
Between them, they got 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
Yeah. I mean, Garoppolo. So here's the thing: Garoppolo in the. So let's preface it with this too. To be fair, Garoppolo. He willed that team to 8. I mean, I know they lost by 8 to Minnesota last week, but I mean, it was Minnesota, which is it's incredible defense and Super Bowl contender in the NFC. I think. He just has no help from any of his skill position players. Can you name Can you name 3 people that catch the ball in San Francisco?
3 people that catch the ball in San Francisco?
Three people, whether it's tight end or receiver. Can you name 3 guys on that roster that catch the ball for him?
Yeah, there's what's his name? Marquise Goodwin.
Yep, who's hurt?
George Kittle.
Yep. Okay, there you go. So, okay. Well, okay.
I mean, there's more. I mean, there's Pierre Garçon.
Right, and
there's Trent Taylor, Dante Pettis.
Right, and so by the way, Dante Pettis, that rookie, he is probably the best out of all of them. George Kittle, he all he did was drop. He had when they were driving in the fourth quarter when they were still down 8, the Niners were, and Jimmy Garoppolo threw like a 30, 40-yard pass to George Kittle, who was wide open. It was off the play action play, the whole Kyle Shanahan play action, get a guy open type thing, a little bootleg action, and he was wide open and he hit him like perfectly, and he just dropped it. And there were, I think I read, I want to say it was Jeremy Bergman for Around the NFL for NFL.com. I hope that's the writer who wrote this, but he and what we learned from week 1. I was reading that, and each game a different writer does it. It's like one big collective blog post, though. He was saying that Garoppolo also hit 2 other players. I think it was Dante Pettis and because Dante Pettis had 1 touchdown, but he almost caught another, but he just dropped it in the end zone. And Pierre Garçon dropped 1 in the end zone too. So Garoppolo just had no help from his skill position players at all. Like, his receivers are, in my opinion, trash. And Matt Breida did not look good at all. And Alfred Morris did not look good at all either. So I'm going to try to be nice about those guys because I think they're awful too. He just has no talent on the offensive side of the ball whatsoever. So I don't know what he's supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Not throw 3 interceptions for a start.
I mean, I get that. But when you're trying to force the ball to a guy who doesn't get open when you're already down 8 or 16 or whatever you're down, I mean, it's not as bad as when I watched a lot of that game, and I'll tell you right now, his interceptions were different than Matt Stafford's. Matt Stafford was just giving the ball away. He was just throwing it, and it was just getting picked off. Like, Garoppolo, and I'm not being biased because I have affection for Jimmy Garoppolo because I really want him to succeed. I like him a lot. I really do. I'm genuinely being honest. They were only even in that game because of him, at all whatsoever, and that matters for something. You know what I mean? Especially against a defense like that, because he was getting his ass kicked by those dudes up front, and he got sacked like twice, I think, once or twice by Harrison Smith off the edge, who you and I were talking about. I think before this podcast we were talking about him before we recorded, but maybe it was early. I don't know, but he was the only reason that they were in the game. So I know we're kind of doing like week 1 recaps as we go in these because we've seen a little bit of these guys. So it's going to kind of be a little thing mixed in with the picks, but I don't know. We've spent a lot of time on a game that neither of us wants to watch, by the way, but I got San Francisco. So who are you taking?
I'm probably taking San Francisco only because it's in San Francisco.
Yeah.
That's about the only reason why I'm going to do that. And coincidentally enough, this game, right, Battle of the Turnovers.
Right.
Well, there's going to be another one coming up in a few games that is also Battle of the Quarterback Turnovers.
Which one is that?
It'll be the Broncos and the Raider game. They both also threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, that's going to be a no from me. All right. Let's go.
So we got that one. So now we just got done. We're going to move on. Cardinals with the Rams. I don't even want to talk about it. It doesn't even matter.
This is easy. This is
write it in.
Yeah, this is Rams by pick a number. 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. And it's in LA, right? Yeah,
Yes.
it's not even going to be close. I mean, like we were talking about Alex Smith and the Redskins earlier, they they almost blanked the Cardinals at home, but David Johnson got a garbage time touchdown in the fourth quarter. Uh, but I mean, they had, yeah, it's we don't even have
I'll be surprised if Sam Bradford makes it through this game with all of his appendages.
yeah, and you're right because they're going to be after him, and I mean he was. I'm looking at it now. Bradford was 20 for 34 for only 153 yards on Sunday. No touchdowns and one interception. So he was just bad, and
Yep.
like he was just flat out not good. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game to me has blowout potential, and it starts at 4:05 Eastern on Fox, and it's over by 5 o'clock potential also. So yeah, it's gonna be Rams by a lot. We don't have to spend too much time on that one. So I'm taking Rams. You're taking Rams. Is there anything you want to say about the Rams from what you saw on Monday night against the Raiders? Or
No, only that I don't think they're as formidable as I thought they were going to be. I still think they're one of the stronger teams in the NFC for sure. Definitely Super Bowl contender, but there are some things that can be exploited. But you've got to be smart about how you do it.
Like the linebackers, like in the passing game. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
I'm referring to that, and I'm referring to if you can just set the edge on the run game, there is potential to be able to at least slow it down a little bit. You're not going to stop the running game, but you can slow it down. They killed the Raiders with jet sweeps in the first half. That was the only reason why they even got on the board the first half was jet sweeps. I was really good job of disguising that.
Right. And by the way, apparently there's a boom of jet sweeps this year.
Yes.
I didn't know about this, but I was Dan Hands.
They used to be a thing quite a few years ago too.
Right, and I remember Miami used to run it a bunch several years ago too, like all the time with who the hell do they have running back when they used to run them all the time? Ricky Williams? Or was it after him?
No, I think it was like not Cadillac Williams.
There's a specific running back that Miami had a couple years ago.
Ronnie. Was it Ronnie Brown?
Yeah, I think that might be right because I want to say Ronnie Hillman, but it's not who that was. I think it was.
I think it was Ronnie Brown because I always remember him having a visor too.
Yeah. I think you're right. It is Ronnie Brown. That sounds familiar to me. But yeah, no, there's a jet sweep sensation, I guess you'd call it, coming back. Like people are using it a lot. So.
Well, it needs to be stopped. Can't have any of that shenanigans.
And to me, by the way, I just want to say this because we're already done with the Rams, and like you said, that I think the Rams are good, but I do think there's some we still don't know totally what we can expect of Jared Goff. And like you said, I think their defense is good in the front line and the back line, but the linebackers I don't think are that great for the Rams defense. So
yep.
I mean, even Gruden said that. There was a thing about Marshawn Lynch didn't get a lot of carries in that game apparently, and Gruden actually said, "Well, we thought that targeting Rashard in the passing game would be good for us because we didn't like their linebacking core." So, So he actually said that, but I just saw that today actually on Pro Football Talk. All right, so the next game. You go first. We're to talk about this one. This is a rematch of the AFC Championship. What does that sound?
Me thinking. That's my brain. There's smoke coming out of my ears.
That's funny. Yeah. So I was like, what the hell is that?
I'm trying to figure out.
Patriots Jaguars, by the way. I just wanted to say that. So, but it's in Jacksonville this time.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure this one out in my head. It's gonna be this is honestly gonna be a tough game.
It is
to pick.
It's gonna be a tough game to watch
because
it's gonna be a tough game to watch because I mean I don't know if I've even said on the podcast yet, but you've said I'm gonna just out you because you already said it even though I was at the end of one. We're almost at the end of this one. You're a Raider fan. I'm a Patriot fan, so I'm gonna be nervous as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a fumble.
All right.
Okay, so I'm just going to go on the presumption that Leonard Fournette's okay, right? He's day to day right now with a hamstring.
Right.
Uh,
And I think he will be, which is I think it's a safe enough assumption because I mean, unless it's a
well,
really bad one, we don't know. I mean, I don't know.
right. Well, I saw that he was in a sleeve on his leg Monday morning. Uh, that could mean different things. He's questionable. I don't know. If he plays, I at least give them a chance.
Oh, absolutely, I give him a chance.
It's really gonna depend on what happens with Bortles. If
it always
Bortles
does.
If Bortles doesn't screw it up, they will have a shot. This is what the problem is going to be, right? Everybody knows Jacksonville's defense is really good. Okay, we get that. We understand that. Can they stop the Patriots? They were doing. I don't know. I don't think they're going to stop them, but they were doing a decent enough job last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
They were surviving.
Yeah. Well, they could have won that game.
They should have won the game. So go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
They should have. But here's the thing, right? The defense is good. Everybody gets that. But the problem comes in is if Blake Bortles starts turning the ball over, it turns into a situation where it doesn't really matter how good they are because they're not going to have any gas in the fourth quarter, and then the Patriots are going to stomp them.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a time of possession thing, right? If Jacksonville can control the ball, that's why I say if Fournette's healthy and Bortles doesn't screw it up, if they can keep some time of possession and let their defense recover, because it's going to be in Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
If they can let them recover and play a normal game, I would give them a shot. I mean, all that said, I'm picking New England, but I mean, I think they would have a shot. I think they would have a realistic shot. Not just. I mean, every team can win on any given Sunday, right? That's the thing. But I think the Patriots are going to win it. But I wouldn't be completely surprised if Jacksonville plays a really good game and nobody screws it up. I wouldn't be completely surprised if they win, but I don't think that'll happen. I think that the Patriots will cause them to screw it up, and therefore the Patriots will win.
So I agree with everything you said. And what I want to say is about this game, because I really don't have a lot to add. Everything you said just sounds correct, and I mean, pretty much everyone would agree with you. So I don't. Maybe not Jacksonville fans, but everyone else. I mean, maybe not Jalen Ramsey, but I don't know.
Well, tell him to cover Gronk and get back to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's average, right? That's what he said. He's average, so we'll see. We'll see who's average when. Yeah, so we'll see.
Anyways, come on.
I get fired up. I do, but I just want to say I respect Jalen Ramsey for all the the crap he's talking, and for the most part, backs it up as far as we've seen. So if you continue to do that, by all means, talk your talk. Like I like that. I love that. I like him. So, but we'll see. You know what I mean? So we'll see if Gronk has 2 touchdowns or not. So because Odell Beckham kind of gave him some business last Sunday, and AJ Bouye was covering Odell a lot of the time, but Odell had 11 catches for 111 yards. You know what I mean? I mean they didn't win, but I wouldn't say that he shut him down either. So either of them. So But no, I don't have a lot to add. Everything you said makes sense, and it's right. The only thing I want to say is, and Bill Simmons has said this a couple times, and I don't know, I'm bringing up a Boston guy, but this is I think this is relevant because it's a rematch of the AFC Championship game, and so I think this matters because I think it might play another factor. Is last year in the AFC Championship game, Jacksonville was pretty much kicking New England's ass in New England for like 2.5, 3 quarters. They really were. And not just on defense, they were kicking their ass when Jacksonville was on the field on offense too. So the issue is, and Bill Simmons said this, it seems like they had like 25, 30 plays scripted basically that they knew they were going to run. They did them, they executed them, and they were awesome. And then once they got through that, they didn't know what to do. They were just like, holy crap, we are beating New England in the AFC Championship game. We're like 20, 15 minutes away, whatever, from the Super Bowl. What do we do, though? How do we close this out? And they just couldn't. They couldn't bury New England. So New England, of course, Tom Brady came back and they beat them. But I don't know what's different. I don't know why they would be able to do anything different this time because it's everybody there is the same. So, I mean, they didn't change offensive coordinators, did they? As far as I know, they didn't.
Not so far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, so I just don't know what's different. The personnel is still in place there. The coaching's still in place there. And I just don't know if the defense doesn't absolutely dominate to a point where New England just can't move the ball or score whatsoever. I don't know how you score enough points to be able to win that game, because even with New England, even with the Jacksonville defense, I think it's going to take 20 points to beat New England, probably, maybe a little more. I'm not sure we can get that from Jacksonville. They got 20 last week. They got exactly 20 for against New York, right? I believe it was 20-15 was the final. So they can get 20, I guess, but I'm just not sure. How am I ever supposed to pick against Tom Brady when he's playing against Blake Bortles? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm gonna take New England, and like you said, if Leonard Fournette's healthy, maybe he just destroys them on the ground. And if they can control if they have the, because like you said, if Jacksonville ends up having, if we look at the stat sheet after the game summary after the game, and if Jacksonville were to win, the time of possession will say like 35, 40 minutes. It has to. Because if it doesn't, then how the hell did they win? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's all I really have to say about that. I got New England by 3-6. So it'll be low scoring though. I think both teams actually might have less than 20 points.
Okay. Raiders or Broncos?
Yeah. So this one, I don't want to watch this game at all. Like you said earlier, this is another game where both quarterbacks could throw a bunch of picks, just like the Detroit-San Francisco game. Denver looked a lot better against Seattle than last week than I thought they would. I don't even know who won that game. Did Seattle win or did Denver?
Denver won.
Okay, Denver did win. Right, I picked them. I wasn't sure. I watched that game pretty closely actually, because it was like, because on Red Zone, I was watching Red Zone on my second screen, and they're basically near the end of the day of the 1:00 games or the 4:00, whatever it was. They were kind of just keeping an eye on the close games. They weren't really showing a lot of the blowout stuff. Like they weren't showing a lot of Washington versus Arizona. And that game was interesting to me, but I just don't know if Seattle is Russell Wilson, who's awesome, and nobody else really any good. Plus Doug Baldwin got hurt. Like, I don't know if Seattle's not good or if Denver is good again with Case Keenum. I can't really tell. I couldn't tell in that game because it was just kind of a weird game anyway. And Doug Baldwin getting hurt mattered a lot, I think, for Seattle. I'm gonna take Denver because they're just really hard to beat at home. So, but I don't know at all. I think Oakland has a good shot, but because I saw the entire first half of the Monday night game against the Rams, and I like how they played. I like how they played LA at first. It was late. It was the 10:00 game, so I fell asleep at like midnight. But because so I was up since 5. But I liked, from what I saw, I liked how they played the Rams. So I'm not saying they can't beat Denver. I just think it's hard to beat Denver in Denver. So I'm taking them. Plus they beat Seattle and they looked good enough to be able to screech out some close ones. So this would probably be like 24-23 or some crazy crap like that.
Well, so the trials and tribulations of John Gruden's life has come full circle, as it were. So Wednesday, the Raiders re-signed Martavis Bryant.
Yep, that's right.
The Raiders signed Jonathan Hankins.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what had happened on Monday during the Raiders-Rams game was their second-round pick, P.J. Hall, he hurt his ankle on the first drive Monday, and he's in a protective boot now. So towards the end of that game, Ellis got hurt in the middle of the game. So towards the end of the game, in the second half, beginning of the third quarter, they were playing defensive ends and edge rushers as defensive tackles, and they just couldn't stop the run. And then once they couldn't stop the run, it was time to play from behind. A couple of miscues from Carr, and boom, game's over.
Right.
So I don't expect that to happen again. It is Denver, and they beat Seattle, that's no big thing anymore in my personal opinion. But
right.
And plus Doug Baldwin got hurt, and Shaquem Griffin, I guess, got pulled for some other dude to come in and play more snaps than him because he kept blowing assignments. So I don't know what part of the game that was at, but the Raiders historically haven't had a problem winning in Denver. Denver's kind of a weird place for them. They usually, if all things being equal, they'll win in Denver and they'll lose in Oakland
against
playing
Denver?
the Broncos.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. But
division games are weird, man.
Yeah, I know. Survivor pools, I never pick division games if I can avoid it at all because you just never know what's going to happen. Which was the reason. Well, never mind. We won't get into that conversation.
Why you didn't pick New Orleans over Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
Which for anyone listening, still an hour in, I picked New Orleans over Tampa Bay for week 1. They gave up 48 points, and I was out week 1. So, thank you.
It should have been a no-brainer. It really should have been a no-brainer.
It was. It just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
So, that's fine. So, basically, long story short, I'm picking the Raiders.
Okay.
I picked them last week against the Rams just because it was wishful thinking, but this time I actually think they will. I actually think they will beat the Broncos. This whole Martavis Bryant thing. The other thing was
they said he'll play this week. By the way, too, that he will. They said, by the way, he will play this week as well.
Oh yeah, he knows the playbook. He knows everything. He's been with him since the draft.
Yeah, he was there since the draft. They traded for him, and he's been there through camp. He just got cut after week 4 of preseason, right?
Yeah, because the whole thing is that.
Which was super weird. Such a weird story.
Right. It's like the Randy Gregory thing. Everybody's like, oh, he's got a season-long suspension pending. So the Raiders cut him, allegedly thinking that he was going to get suspended, and then he didn't. And so they're like, well, okay. Well, now it's after week 1, so none of the contracts are guaranteed, right? You can cut anybody at any given moment. I guess the deal he signed is a week-to-week deal anyways. He gets a roster bonus for every week he's there on the team playing. Mm-hmm. I think, one of the bigger problems they had against playing the Rams was they were able to double Cooper and Nelson because they didn't have anybody on the outside to threaten over the top.
Right.
So basically any passing down, they double those guys, which is why Jared Cook got 180 yards receiving because he was the only guy to throw to. So I'm thinking that if Bryant comes in and the White Lion shows up, that I think they have a better than 50% chance of winning. I got them 70% beating the Broncos because Case Keenum threw 3 picks too.
Exactly.
And it's no longer the Legion of Boom.
No. So no. Oh, yeah. I got what you mean. Like you mean like Seattle last week. They weren't the Legion of Boom, and they still got 3. I get you.
Yeah.
I was a little lost for a second there. I was like, wait a minute. They never called Denver the Legion of Boom.
That was the no-fly zone.
Right. Which by the way, actually, they stole from the Jets. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But... Yeah, just like everything is nation, Cowboy Nation.
Right, exactly.
Patriot Nation. Anyways, enough of that jibber jabber. So here's an intriguing game for you. Yeah. Sunday night, the Giants and the Cowboys.
Oh, I gotta be honest. I'm shocked that this is on Sunday Night Football. Not really. Anyway,
they can't. Yeah, they can't flex yet. Otherwise, I'm sure they would have.
No. That was sarcasm because they always play on Sunday Night Football. I'm shocked it wasn't week 1. I'll tell you that. But no, I absolutely expected this as Sunday night. Like, I mean, it's the NFC East. So, but this game is interesting to me because I was reading tweets and articles and blah 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 about how abysmal the Cowboys looked against the Panthers on Sunday, week 1. Because they did not look good, especially on offense. But apparently, everything everyone sees is Dak Prescott isn't the problem. Apparently, it's the coaching. Apparently, the play calling is just absolutely horrendous, and he's doing what he can, but the offensive line obviously is broken down because that's not what it was a couple years ago when they were like the best offensive line in football. I mean, a couple guys are hurt. Travis Friedrich's out. It's just not the same line, and they don't have a lot of guys in the receiving core. I mean, they've got Cole Beasley. They got I can't even think of anyone else they have. They have Terrence Williams still, who I kind of like. But they don't have a lot of weapons. And Jason Witten's gone, who was like their third down. He was Dak Prescott's third down blanket. Just security blanket. Their defense on the bright side of the Cowboys. I'm gonna say this real quick because I thought that they were. I picked them to go like honestly like 5-11, 4-12. I don't think the Cowboys were gonna be good this year. I still don't. But their front seven for the most part looked pretty good against Carolina. They're all finally there, finally not suspended, finally healthy, and they looked pretty freaking awesome. So I'll give them that. But man, I just think I'm gonna take New York here because I think the Giants will be better than them this year than the Cowboys. So, and it's going to start here. And Eli pretty much usually plays well in Jarrah World. So,
yeah, for all pretty much the same things you said, I'm picking the Giants to win this one. I don't think Randy Gregory's going to be playing because he's in the concussion protocol right now, and
yeah,
I just think that they won't be able to apply enough pressure to slow Eli down.
Right, and like I said, like. I feel like this is the kind of team. It's not the same defense in Dallas as it is in Jacksonville. So if they give up 111 yards and 11 catch to Odell Beckham, it's gonna be a different story. You know what I mean?
It's gonna be 200 yards and.
Or it's just gonna be because they scored 3 times with him or something. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Right.
Like they're not gonna stop him from scoring a bunch if they're also giving up a crap load of yards. Like it's gonna be a tale of 2 different stat lines. Even if it's the same number, it's gonna be a different thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and Saquon Barkley, by the way, we should just mention real quick. Awesome highlight play week 1 against that really good Jaguar defense. I think it was like a 68-yard touchdown run, and it was freaking sweet. So that guy is. I mean, he looks strong as hell. Did you see any of his highlights at all?
I did see that. That run that he had. Yeah.
He looks strong, man. Like he's thick and he's big. Like I think that was a good pick. I'm just going to say that. I don't know if it was like the right pick, if they should move on from Eli. I don't know when to get into all that, but it's a good pick. I think he's like awesome. So yeah.
Yep.
All right, last game here. We've got Monday Night Football. It is the Seattle Seahawks at Chicago Bears. So what are you thinking on this one?
I'm thinking 2 teams that lost in interesting fashion.
Who by the way, I sound like an owl. But by the way, they lost in interesting fashion. But these are my 2 picks. Unless it's another NFC South team, these are my 2 picks for possible wild card in the NFC this year. Maybe not Seattle, but I think there's a path for them too. But I do think Chicago will make the wild card. But these are 2 interesting teams to me. Like from the standpoint of we just don't have any idea what the hell they are.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting that. We don't really know who the hell they are. So the problem with Seattle, huh?
I said a lot of talent on both rosters. Just what are they going to do with it? You know.
Yeah, and Doug Baldwin now's got a knee, and he's week to week, and I'm just wondering where their offensive. They're thinking about putting the CJ Procease out. Procease.
I don't know. I think it's Procease. I don't know. I
don't either.
Know. I think it's Procease.
Doesn't really matter actually.
It doesn't matter. But
I hear they're thinking about moving him out to the outside to play some receiver because I guess he played receiver in college.
Yeah, I read that.
And they're running out of people.
They are running out of bodies for sure. Yeah, I don't think Doug Baldwin's going to be ready this week with the knee injury. I don't think he's going to be able to play. I think because he was hurt in preseason a little bit too, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think they probably rushed him back a little bit. I know he was ready to go, whatever, but I don't know. I wouldn't have played him week 1, and I don't think he'll play week 2, which is pretty big for them considering they don't have a lot of their guys that they had. Like Russell Wilson doesn't have a lot of options. I mean, like you said, they're gonna put CJ Procease out there because we're gonna hyphenate it. He'll just be Procease. Because I mean, Paul Richardson's gone. He wasn't great, but he was a pretty good target. He's in Washington. They've still got Tyler Lockett, who I like, but he's always kind of underachieved for what people acted like he was this guy that was so good, but like he doesn't really put a lot on the stat sheet.
Yeah.
Or like on the screen. Like I don't see a lot out of Tyler Lockett week to week. He's supposed to be like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think I don't know. It's hard to tell with those guys because I'm just so it's just so ingrained in my mind that Seattle is just going to win 10 games. But I don't know if they will this year, and I don't think they will, but they just have for so long with what I felt like, for the most part, wasn't any that much of a difference in the roster. I mean, yeah, Doug Baldwin's out, and that definitely hurts them a lot. But and KJ Wright's hurt too. He's been hurt since like the preseason. But like, I don't know. This game's tough for me. And then we got Chicago, who, God, Chicago. Khalil Mack and honestly even the offense for Chicago, like with Trubisky and Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard, they looked really good for like 2 quarters, and then halftime came, and then all kind of just the wheels just came off. It was honestly it was the Jaguars. It was the same story as the Jaguars in the AFC Championship game last year. They had like 30 scripted plays. They ran them, they kicked some ass, and then all of a sudden they were like, we're up 20 on the Packers with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and Rodgers got hurt in the first half when a couple of Packers, including Khalil Mack, kind of landed on his legs wonky, and it didn't look good. He had to actually get carted off of the sideline to the locker room, but they just were like, we're up 20, and then Rodgers came back after halftime. You know, he's heroic Aaron Rodgers. He's that dude, and he just came back on him. You know, there was nothing. It felt like they were in quicksand the whole time, or like the offense for Chicago was just, I guess you'd say, spinning the wheels, like they were spinning wheels in the mud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just couldn't do anything. So I don't know what to expect from them. They'll be at home, which helps because they're gonna, Chicago, Soldier Field's gonna be loud, but I don't know. This might be one of the toughest games to pick because. I don't know. It's gonna be a good one though. I'm gonna watch this. I think it'll be a good game. I really do. I don't know. What are you thinking? How are you feeling about this?
I'm picking the Bears.
Why? Is it just because it's in Chicago? If it was in Seattle, you'd pick Seahawks, or is there more to it?
No, because the Seahawks, I just don't think they have the offense to counter the defense of the Bears. I think they'll be lucky to put up 10 points.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I know.
That's interesting. I don't know. I feel like Russell Wilson's good for 14, honestly. Maybe even 20. Like, I don't know. That guy is, like, I'm starting to really get I'm gaining a lot of appreciation for Russell Wilson's game. And it's not because that I didn't appreciate him before, but now that the Legion of Boom is gone, and it's like a thing of the past, he's like, dude is still doing it. You know what I mean? Like, he was doing it last year when the Legion of Boom was basically kind of like dying out because Earl Thomas was hurt, Richard Sherman was hurt. Like now that all those guys are like, well, I mean, Earl Thomas is still there, but Cam Chancellor's gone, Richard Sherman's gone. Like, I don't know. Russell Wilson, I think, is probably one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. Like, I'm not even like kidding. Like, I think he's that good. But with that being said, I'm also taking the Bears. So I just think at home, like you said, that defense. If Doug Baldwin was healthy, I honestly might take Seattle. I just think if they're, like you said, and I know it's true, but if they're being serious and if they're honest, if they're really trying CJ Prosci / Procease at receiver because they're just so thin, then yeah, I don't know if they can get in the end zone enough times for it to matter,
Yep.
And we've seen Chicago can score a little bit. I mean, they weren't like a juggernaut on offense, but they definitely could move the ball against Green Bay, who doesn't have a scrub defense, and especially front seven. So I think it'll probably be like 20-17, 17-14, something like that. But I think Chicago will win. So that would be the week 2 games. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
I think we pretty much covered it.
All right. Awesome. We're probably gonna do a pod next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. That'll be up, and we're gonna probably what we're gonna do is we're gonna what are we gonna do? We're basically gonna take like some headlines and stuff around the league and like stuff that happened from week 2, and instead of just breaking down every game and like what happened in them, because we'll probably kind of do the same thing for the week 3 previews as we did this week, where we can kind of add in what happened for week 2 if that makes sense, because we did that for week 1 with this pod. So we're probably going to do headlines and just talk about some stuff that's super interesting to us and have more of a discussion-based podcast than more of like a rundown podcast of like games. So,
yep.
Yeah. So, all right. All right. That's Mike. I'm Darren. 108.1 FNFB podcast. This is episode 3, 4, 3. I think it's 3. Something like that. It doesn't matter. It's hour 20. No one's gotten this far, and no one knows either. But yeah. So awesome.
Toodaloo.